What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Huddle, your weekly playbook to help you gain forward progress in your flooring career. To all our new viewers out there, welcome to the team. What's up, my man?
What's going
Don't mind my
on?
sunglasses, my future's bright. Where's your brother, Mr. Technical
Technical
Difficulty?
difficulties. Said he can't get his
Mr.
camera to
Technical
work.
Difficulty. Well, he will join us soon enough. Good to have you on again, brother. How's your week going? You ready for some Thanksgiving?
Yeah, but I don't eat turkey, so I'm trying to figure out what else I'm gonna eat.
Well, you were eating birthday cake earlier. Just eat
I
that.
am eating birthday cake. I ain't gonna. It ain't gonna make it till Thanksgiving.
No?
Nah.
Your birthday was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday. And look, the
Thank
man
you.
himself, Mr. Technical Difficulty.
Always.
I turned 50 yesterday.
Yeah, you didn't. I believe that about as far as I can throw you. All right, what's up, fellas? Everything good?
So
Everything is
far.
good.
Get the energy
What's
up.
going
All
on,
right.
Jorge?
What's up, Jorge? All right. Well, everybody out there, this week is another episode of the Blue Collar Cruise. I got my sunglasses on, go cruising on a boat, maybe.
Cruising around
You
town.
know, they are polarized.
Yeah.
I told
All
your
those
brother my future's
polymers.
bright. That's why I got some eye issues. I'll leave it at that. Moving on. Okay, so the Blue Collar Cruise this week's pretty diverse. So hopefully some people get on. This is a kind of a pretty cool one. Deals with everything from labor shortage in the news and immigration to recycled products. As usual, it's hard to peruse the world of construction without finding sustainability still is up there. You know, that thing went, it was like the most important thing for a while, then it kind of dove off. It seems like it's like coming right back.
Well, it has to because people realize how much it costs, and then you start getting all this waste, and then people start complaining again. Then it's like, hey, let's
Or
kind of
they
give that down this.
get used to the cost a little bit and then back onto the bandwagon, so to speak. All right, I'm gonna go over a couple topics and then we'll jump in to some of the um, content about these topics. But yeah, so we got some news in sustainability, talking about taking rubber flooring, like your rubber gym floors that you guys work out in, like you, Jose, all the time. You,
Bob, like
you,
Daniel was
Daniel, you
installing.
guys be
Your
pumping
microphone's not
iron.
working.
What's that?
His microphone's not working.
Mr. Technical Difficulty.
Of course.
Anyway, so we've got some sustainability from gym flooring being repurposed. So it's kind of a true, kind of cradle to grave. I think they call it true singularity with this manufacturer. We're going to go over the fact that a fifth of construction workers lack permanent legal status, and see if the new administration is going to change that or what they plan on doing about that. This is an interesting one. Being the founder of Go Carrera, and always the whole purpose of the scoring system that's algorithmically driven, and all the beauty behind it is to make sure that homeowners and business owners and contractors um, get the right level of skill on their jobs. And this says that 33% of homeowners surveyed would hire a questionable contractor just to save money. We're going to dive into that one. And then if we have some
Working on
time, transforming construction, the shift from compliance to compassion. This is someone's. This is kind of a opinion piece at a construction dive. The last thing that I really want to make sure we fit in is the FCEF announces a pilot cohort of flooring installation technicians course. So for all you out there who want to be flooring technicians, and FCEF has been doing a lot of good stuff out there. So, he's gone. His video's not working, huh? We're gonna keep
Testing,
trucking.
testing.
Well, we can hear you.
A
You can
little
hear
bit.
me? All right.
Yep,
Barely.
Boom. How about now?
we can hear you. Can't see you.
I turned the video off.
All right. I'm going to get going on this. So on the sustainability makeover, or the news and sustainability, it says the topic reads, LA playgrounds get a sustainable makeover with Encore's upcycled gym flooring. So in this article from Floor Covering Weekly, it talks about repurposing old gym floors into durable playgrounds. I'm sure you guys have been on some of those. Have you? Actually, I should just ask, have you guys been on some of those like rubber playgrounds?
Yeah, they're awesome.
Dude,
Yep.
they have such high safety ratings. It's crazy. So this particular program is Encore or Ecore. Ecore True Singularity program. We sell a lot of Ecore rubber flooring, but this program focuses on reclaiming and recycle rubber flooring surfaces. So approximately 27,600 square foot of flooring has been recycled in this program so far, and it's transformed the surfaces of over 18 playgrounds in Southern California. So this is really to highlight how businesses can join forces and tackle environmental changes. It's kind of, it's a pretty cool thing. Now, what is the number one thing we always talk about when we get into this recycle is picking up how do you get it over to
Right.
and do the stuff, right? You remember?
That's always a challenging one. Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yeah. Just eat
I
them
just
up.
want to make sure. Bah.
Yeah, you got to get close.
Yeah, the last time we had a whole podcast on this, the biggest problem, we actually had somebody on who was with the manufacturer talking about recycled materials and how to get it sent back to the mill. That's always been one of the biggest problems, was getting it back.
I think
Especially
it still
lately.
is.
Freight's
Yeah.
not cheap.
Right?
Yeah.
Freight's not cheap. Labor's not cheap. The processes are costly when you're on site. You got to find places to store it while you're on site until a pickup arrives. I mean, there's a lot of logistics involved as well.
Yeah, you got to have somebody who wants to do it. Then you got to have the backside of it. I can applaud the program and its aims to, keep rubber products out of the landfills. I'm all for it. But we got to have some easy ways to get the product back. I mean, it has to happen for any of these programs to, have an impactful business model. You got to have the recycled product have a I don't know, a systematic way to get it back to the
There you
people.
go.
That's
Yeah.
my opinion. There's some their model, Ecore's model, shows how end of life materials can be reused, because flooring gets ugly, or it gets ugly colored, whatever. This is a good way to take that product at the end of its life cycle of flooring and turn it into something that can last another 15, 20 years. Not like the rubber's going bad. Usually uglies out more
Right.
than
It
than
dries out a
anything.
little bit, right? But then that's when you just fucking repurpose it.
Grind it up, make
Yeah.
it a baby catcher out at the playground.
making some soup so that way you can catch the kids. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that stuff is it is pretty sweet. I do find not anymore, but roughhousing on top of it. It's like, man, they should install this everywhere on the inside of buildings, on the outside, anywhere where kids go. And then you don't got to worry about those wood chips being displaced and the swing sets getting a 6-foot hole underneath a swing that a toddler's supposed to be playing on.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a pourable surface. They call it E-Core Spectra Pour Surfacing. It's used in Belvedere Park. But beyond playgrounds, the
government
success of
buildings
this
around us.
Oh, you've seen it there locally?
Yeah, so some of the renovations that they've been doing to the parks over the past couple years, that's what they've been replacing. And even some of the baseball parks that we travel to, they've been using it.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, it seems like a pretty big initiative. The success of the project highlights on E-Core's plans to expand this whole program nationwide. And, as seen in models for the future future sustainability efforts, it demonstrates how collaborative efforts in business sector can drive sustainable community and environmentally beneficial ways, paving ways for a sustainable future. We do got to figure this stuff out. I think that the more that the manufacturers kind of get involved with helping retailers and dealers to be able to reclaim that product and get it out is huge. Hey, Sue says Houston has too big recycling store for a pad, and they have tons of stock they can't send nowhere. Yeah, well, maybe they can figure out how to add carpet pad into this program. I know I've been on plenty of freaking playgrounds that could use some of this stuff, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know, man. It's just hard talking people into spending more money. Sometimes.
I wonder what the cost of this is compared to, say, some other playground surfacing material. I see rubber a lot. I just didn't know that it was all I guess I don't know whether it's recycled or not, the ones that I've seen.
Yeah, I guess I could say that. I'm assuming that the colorful ones are probably less likely to be recycled than all the all black playgrounds. But I don't know what the dyeing or coloring process is of the recycled material.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next. This says, this is under State of Affairs. A fifth of construction workers lack permanent legal status. It goes on to ask, can the next president change that? I would say the next administration, whether or not that's true. So let's read through some of this together. It says the U.S. Construction industry is grappling with a major labor shortage. We've talked about that plenty and talked about all the issues around that. It's exasperated by immigration issues, particularly in as the 2024 election brings immigration policy to the forefront. I mean, that was one of the biggest, I would say, battling ideals in the election. An estimated 15 to 23% of construction workers lack permanent legal status, creating both an open secret, I would say that's an understatement, and a complex dilemma for contractors. So, the funny thing is, we can't hire illegal, undocumented people. Any of the jobs we do, or most of the, particularly government work, we have to provide an I-9 and all this documentation that they are of legal status. Now, this isn't saying they're of illegal status. It's saying they don't have permanent documentation. But either way, have you guys hired any people or tried to work with any people that are undocumented? or
I think
lack permanent legal status?
I think that the paperwork is going to be way too confusing for us to even try to mess around with that. So Daniel handles all of the employee documents. So that's a better question for him. But we're so
Well,
small. I can tell you that we don't have the capability of doing so, and nor do we want to try to monkey
yeah, I
around
know
with
the
trying to
answer.
get
The
there.
answer is no, because you're not
Yeah,
going to get in
No,
trouble for
right on
hiring
yeah.
undocumented people. You can't.
right on our application, that's one of the questions is, are you able to work in the United States, right? And like legally. And to be honest with you, like they answer truthfully, and some people are like, no, I'm not. But that's where our industry is, that 1099 culture. That's where that
That's where
stems
a lot
from.
slipped through. I
And
think
people
it's also
just,
where it pushes a lot of people that direction.
yeah, because I've seen it, and it's not even just illegals that want to keep it that way, or the people that can't, work here legally. It's people that don't want to pay child support and are trying to hide from something. It's always someone that's trying to hide from something.
Yeah, that whole 1099 thing, I don't know quite how to deal with that. I mean, it has to stop at some point, but it doesn't. At right now, you can 1099 your heart away. you know,
Well, I
like
believe based off of what I've been told, there may be they're talking about doing some revisions to like employee classifications because of some of the policies that are going to be implemented here after the turn of the year. Um, so they're going to be looking at the 1099s to see if they can revise and recategorize employee versus 1099. But I will add to that, I did have an instance where a gentleman who was going to school here as a full-time student was using a travel visa, but it wasn't a work visa; it was a student visa. So there was some weird red tape there that it was just very confusing, and we didn't want to get in trouble, or we can't get in trouble. Um, but he was like, "No, I can still work," but the documents in the college said otherwise.
yeah. Well, the article calls it a complex dilemma. I couldn't agree with that statement more, and it's certainly complex. And the dilemma is we're short workers in a lot of areas across the United States, and it's gonna, if if the economy kind of revs back up and gets going crazy again, it's going to be a real problem. This next business cycle, I could see all this stuff we've talked about being short workforce really coming to roost. Um, but it goes on to say that many in the industry are calling for reform that would allow undocumented workers to participate lawfully in the workforce. What do you guys think about that? Like, if there was a way to allow them to participate lawfully in the workforce.
I would say if they don't fill out a census report, then that would exclude them. I mean, at least fill out the census so that way documentation can start being correct there. I don't know what else to add to that besides if there was a lawful way, that means that they're still entered into the system in some way, shape, or form, which should exclude employers from any risk. And I think that that's
Yeah,
the main part.
they're talking about it because they want to reduce. They're saying that the purpose of figuring out how to allow undocumented workers to participate lawfully in the workforce is aimed at reducing the exploitation and creating a more fair bid environment. So it
Oh,
says the workforce demand grows. Contractors are advocating for clear immigration pathways to bridge the labor gap. That's out of Construction Dive. I personally think that, training is important as well. And I know we harp on this every single week, but putting a bunch of workers into the marketplace, all with a unknown skill level and unknown, education level from like a technical education level. How do you figure that out like it's hard enough for us here in America
Yes.
to talk about this, right? The hammer rating, our scoring system at Go Carrera, that solves the problem if it gets adopted or as it is adopted here in the US. The problem is what about trainings elsewhere? We have no idea how good or any of the background. Um, there's a lot of people who are still spot setting tile stuff like that, and it's from like India and
And they
the
have
Middle
videos
East and
of it,
different
right?
areas where they
That's
spot
just
set
how they,
tile and stuff.
yeah, they have
That's how they
those
were trained.
videos, and yeah, and that's just how they do it over there.
Yeah, it's not that it's bad. It's just it's not the way that the NTCA or our the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation,
So
any of the uh, TCNA standards that America runs off of for proper tile installation. It's just not done.
so you made a
What's
good
next,
point
man?
there.
Business know-how would help eliminate workers being taken advantage of or taken advantage
Yeah.
of. I think
So
that's being really taken advantage of.
you made a good point there though, Paul. So like if they go back and say this thing does get implemented and people do get allowed to participate, right, in some way, shape, or form, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to put some kind of process in place in order to give them that rating, that scale, so they know their placement in the workforce, which in turn is going to require more on our end as well because we're already involved. And we should all be subject to the same guidelines. And if they are creating additional guidelines, especially for the flooring industry, that could definitely help us uh, in the long run, but it is going to flood the market with individuals who are capable and who have had education. But it's going to help us in the long run because it's actually implementing the kind of structure that we've been lacking.
I personally think that it'll help in the rating system. We are going to be renaming the hammer rating, but more to come on that in the future. But um, it's going to flood the market with plenty of lower skilled workers. That means you guys who are on here watching this podcast or partake of it on YouTube later or whatever, you better understand that you're going to have to be able to prove that the difference between you and somebody else, and that is the entire purpose of the rating system. And so I would encourage everybody to get your hammer rating. Will be again, it'll be rebranded in the future, but at the end of the day, it's the same exact rating. This here says the industry faces a daunting need for nearly 454,000 additional workers in 2025 alone. The Associated Builders and Contractors chief economist, argues that programs allowing undocumented workers to obtain work visas will help fill this shortage. Additionally, construction organizations like the ABC and the AGC are pushing for the expansion of the H-2B visa program, which provides temporary work visas. The current gap of 66,000 annual visas is seen as insufficient, especially since the U.S. construction activity is projected to increase. And I believe at the previous blue collar cruise, when we were talking about the increases, it was like a 7% increase. So that would exasperate this problem. Personally, I think that we need to bring them in, get them trained, and let's go. That's my stance. At the end of the day, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of citizens that are in even here in the U.S. that just don't have any technical skills. They couldn't turn a wrench if you made them, and people who are willing to learn a trade are often your immigrant population, And I say, let's get them in here and get them trained. And I don't think they're going to drive. I think I seen a note said
Yeah, Rollins
somebody
actually
said
said
it's going to
will
drive.
labor pay down, not a good thing.
I don't know. They still have to do good work. If we train them and we incorporate them into our, you know, standards of quality, I guess is the best way to put it. Like people, although we are getting ready to talk about 33% of homeowners who will
Right.
hire questionable contractors
But that's
to
the
save
other
money.
thing
So
too.
maybe he's right and I'm completely wrong on that. But
Well, if it follows some kind of structure, then it can be beneficial, right? But if it's just free willy nilly, they can do whatever they want, and they don't have to follow the same guidelines that everybody else does. Then it's going to be a problem, and if it gets
well, that's a
funded.
problem I do see with the way that the AGC
Yeah,
and the H2B program is literally just like get them in here and get them put to work
yeah.
and let the
There's no
companies figure out how to use them.
there's no is there a path of progression for it? You must start at point A and then point B and then point C and then at point D we let you
Well,
free. You know
that's
what
what
I
I was gonna
mean?
say. Because even locally, we've had meetings, and not just like this issue, but just the labor in general. And there's too many of our competitors around here, right? They don't care. They're just like, just give me a body on the floor. I don't care about their training.
Yeah, that's where the problem is. People have to care more about the deal, and this article will be going through here shortly. Kind of highlights the entire problem as I see it. And I'm not the expert here. I'm one of, but I would say I've studied this stuff pretty deeply. So I'm not the sole voice, but I do believe I got a pretty good thumb on it. Even here in this article, it says many of the immigrants arriving in the U.S. Lack specialized skills needed in today's modern construction industry. This highlights the need for more robust training programs. The AGC partnered with congressional members on a bipartisan proposal to double the funding for vocational programs and career technical education. Now, that part of it coming in could really help, especially if you're thinking about high schoolers, because it's not like all the immigrants coming in are just adults. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so having more funding, doubling the funding for vocational programs and career technical education. It's kind of funny when you think about, I went to shop class in middle school, and it was called junior high back then. And the absolute demolishing of all that. And now they're talking about doubling the money for those types of programs. We just swing the pendulum so far one way when we do stuff. It's
Right.
like get rid of shop. And I mean, like you couldn't find a saw in
like,
class anywhere. Now they want to double it.
well, and just like college, you have to go to college, and now it's like you don't have to go to college at all.
Yeah, you must go to college too.
Well, the
Absolutely. College is a waste of time.
public stats and public information prove that you don't have to go to be successful, as long as you're still putting in the work. And no college, no university, no matter how many meetings I've been to, will ever give you the metrics on success rate versus failure rate of their graduates, and they'll never give that to you, no matter how you ask. So they're keeping some secrets there for that one.
Walter is the flooring scientist, and he does flooring inspections, kind of on a really scientific based approach. But he says the poor quality of contractors working in commercial and industrial flooring is keeping him busy. Well, you're going to get busier if we do this without proper training. The question I have is, it seems to be hard enough. And do you guys think that it'll be easier to convince incoming citizens to take the career seriously and get trained versus, I still talk to guys all the time. They're like, I don't see any reason to get trained.
Yeah.
I
Nobody
think
hires based on this, and nobody cares. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I mean, I've been sounding the alarm and tooting the horn for going on 5 years now to the industry, how important this stuff is. And they'll talk about it at the conventions, and I'll probably ruffle some feathers here, but all of them are full of crap. Like everybody at the conventions, love you guys. Close comrades with a lot of the training entities and the manufacturers, but you guys are all full of crap. Nobody does anything about it. When there is a solution out there, they turn their nose up at it, or they want to evaluate it for 15,000 hours. It's like nothing gets done. So if this happens and people go to vocational schools and they go to vocational programs and they go through the old way of doing things through our education system, and maybe we can get some technical colleges back up and running with shop class and flooring techniques in those classes, then maybe that would help save the U.S. Flooring installation industry.
Yeah, and just to add to what you started saying about, do you think that they would come in and find success or be more successful or want to learn? An interesting stat that was brought up, and I can't say for sure what it is, but the percentages of immigrants or people working here on a visa, entrepreneurs, percentage of them is substantially higher than entrepreneurs in our own country. So they come here with that mindset of being an entrepreneur versus waiting for someone to guide them to their destination. They come here trying to make it, and it's a different mindset. And I think that if they're given a path, they're going to find success a lot more than someone who has been living in our system a lot longer, where everything's kind
A
of
lot less spoiled.
yes.
That's
Yes,
for
a lot
sure.
less spoiled. That's for sure. They're going to take that opportunity. and run.
This article ends with, as construction demand rises, industry leaders stress that a pragmatic immigration reform, or that pragmatic immigration reform, workforce training, and lawful work status options will be critical to meeting the nation's future building and infrastructure needs. So, I'm all good with that last statement. A good, a pragmatic approach, and with workforce training. Could you imagine if they had to go, they kind of pick their deal as they're coming in and they go through 8, 10, 12, 14 weeks? I would think the FCEF should, one of the, in my mind, one of the shining stars out there trying to do as much as they can possibly do in the workforce training world. If they hear this, I certainly hope they reach out to the seniors at the AGC and the ABC and see how they can get involved with maybe putting a immigration workforce training program together for flooring. Because if we've gotten 20 million new immigrants into the United States, and who knows how the current or the new incoming administration is going to deal with all that. We've all heard the sound bites, but reality is often a little bit different than what people say on camera or on TV. But man, if we could get guys who are like on fire to get trained and earn a living in this business, it would be fantastic.
Yes, it would.
So I set this up particularly in this manner because the very next article, folks, 33% of homeowners would likely hire a questionable contractor just to save money. Report finds. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. That's like, so it says a recent report reveals that about 1/3 of homeowners surveyed are willing to hire contractors with questionable reputations to save money on home renovations and repairs. That means 33, 1 out of every three people are willing, with a questionable contractor to let this person in their home? That blows my mind. It blows my mind.
So it definitely blows my mind because of, the industry that we're in, right?
I think
Because,
homeowners should know exactly who's in their home,
but
how good
but
they are, and that they're going to do a good project, good product for them.
if I were to tell you that I didn't look at Temu and entertain purchasing some of the items I've seen off of there because of the cost, I'd be lying. Have I purchased anything? No, but
Are you talking about manufactured goods
yeah, I just
versus
talked
letting
about
somebody into your home?
in comparison, brother. In comparison,
Yeah,
talking
I
about
hear what you're saying.
judgment calls. I'm not talking about apples to apples.
Well,
But
this goes on to say that questionable contractor. So let's define that as somebody who may not be honest about pricing, overstates their skills. That's number 2 on this list. Delivers poor quality of work. Number 3, or fails to show up for jobs. Number 4. Like, these are all the things that we have been aiming to rid this industry of. Like, I don't know what honesty, being honest about pricing, maybe that is given a low price and then coming back with a bunch of change orders or something like that is what I'm assuming. That is probably not the best business practice for sure. However, I would say that is derived from guys that is, um, uh, it's made worse by people who good guys having to compete against crappy guys or crappy contractors. So the good contractor has to beat this guy's price, and then the only way he can beat that guy's price is to bare bones it and then change order anything that is unforeseen. They can't use, if you're watching this and you're a homeowner or you're a commercial contractor, you must understand that people cannot use their expertise in their industry to put your bid together if they're having to bid against somebody who has no industry expertise.
Or standards. They might have all the knowledge, but not the standards or the requirement by their employer.
Well, the point, you get my point. Like, if you don't know how to do it, you're going to bid it crappy. If I'm bidding against you and I do know how to do it, I can't use that knowledge. If I do, I might as well just sit at home and pet my dog because I'm never going to win any work. So I can't use my expertise against a contractor that has none, because I will blow I might as well not bid the job. If I start thinking like, okay, it's a second floor bathroom, all second floor bathrooms should have waterproofing under ceramic tile, for example. Well, the specs don't call for it. You know what I mean?
I waterproof my bathroom, and I just put LVT in there.
You get my point, though. Like,
Yes.
It's all exasperated by the problem builds on itself.
Well, then, it's commercially and residentially too. Everyone thinks that we are all bidding the same exact thing when that's not the case.
Nope.
I can assure
it
you
very
that
often is exactly not the case, actually. It's very often that guys like you go in and you're thinking ahead of things, and you want to, a lot of our bids, we line item out voluntary alternates of stuff that we know has to happen that's not in the drawings, just to try to say, hey, here's our base bid based on the drawings and specs. But if you want our expert opinion or recommendation, you need to do these additional things to do your project right.
that's a great.
And we usually you'll lose the job anyway because of it, but
just because of that number.
Yeah, they're like, oh, these guys are trying to do it way too right. We're one of these 33%ers here.
And it sucks too when it comes down to a difference of like $800. Something so minor like that.
Yeah. Well, the guy that wrote this says that he goes on to say that the decision can pose significant risks for homeowners, especially given the high costs associated with repairs and renovations. I will add to that resulting damage. Somebody not knowing what they're doing, causing additional damage to your home that would not have been done otherwise. The survey found that reputation, Go Carrera has a reputation score, by the way. Let me just shameless plug that in there. Is the top factor homeowners consider when hiring contractors, with 25% prioritizing it. So look at all these like figures. 33% of people will hire a questionable contractor to save money. But then in that same survey, reputation is, 1 out of 4 people prioritize it, then followed by experience, then cost, personal recommendations, availability, and then estimated timeline. So all these metrics should be tracked on a contractor, in my opinion, on how well they're doing, and somebody ought to be able to go to a public, centralized place to see how someone's performing in those areas. But it's kind of contradictory if you say that 25% of homeowners prioritize reputation, but then
hire a questionable contractor.
Yeah. So
maybe it's reputation that gets the company in the door, and not knowing what contract.
well, I think it's the
getting.
yin and yang. I think it's
Yeah.
the yin and yang of the argument.
Well, that, like John says, he says his client got 3 bids from electrical companies. The big company with 20 plus employees was around $2,000. A small man in a van guy was $800. And I mean, overhead is real, guys. Like, it's a thing. And that's kind of what you get, though. You're getting that reputation, and you know that this company isn't going to go anywhere. And if anything goes wrong, you can still go back to him and be like, hey, this isn't right. That guy that's charging $800, could he do it right? Absolutely. But if anything happens to go wrong, is he going to stand behind his work, or is he already, that taillight warranty type of person? You never know.
Does he have the same phone number? I was talking to somebody earlier, going through some lists on Go Carrera and noticing guys that had changed their phone numbers, like just different phone numbers. I'm like, in my experience, the better guys have their number since 1995 or so. Like, they keep the same phone number. Guys who,
Still the
if
same
you have a new,
from when he had a Nextel.
yeah, if
Yeah,
you have a
100%.
different phone number all the time, any of my fellow flooring contractors out there listening, if you got a sub that's always changing his number, he's probably changing it for a reason. Well, this is this topic runs deep. I think there's a lot of stuff that can be derived from it. But Angie Hicks, who's the co-founder of Angie, the old Angie's List. This kind of cracked me up. Says she suggests that homeowners would be better off hiring a new contractor than one with a dubious reputation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
no doubt. No duh.
I mean, there's a lot of common sense in that sentence right there. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah. Well, I get it. You want the best deal, but really that's what you're trying to get. Most people want the best deal. To get the best deal, you got to know that you got the same thing. What's he say, Burner? I got 2. Yeah. One for work and one for play.
Hey, bro, you know where I came from? Burner means something else.
As communities grapple with recovering efforts from all these storms, so we all know about all the hurricanes and stuff, homeowners are advised to be particularly cautious when hiring contractors. The importance of selecting a reputable local company, especially for critical repairs like roofing, that must withstand the test of time. It is crucial for homeowners to conduct thorough due diligence, ensuring the contractors that they consider are certified and have solid reputation in the industry. I'm telling you what, let's go. This is all preach the word there, article. We've been saying this for how long on the Huddle? By taking these precautions, homeowners can reduce their risk of falling victim to contractor fraud, secure, reliable services for their renovation and their repair needs.
You know,
Yeah.
that ties into a couple years ago in our area, there was a lot of fraud going on where contractors were taking down payments and then running, and they were being hired off of the list place, and then both Craig's and Angie's, and then I think I see things now on like Facebook Marketplace, but there was a lot of that going on, and they were doing like the Fox 17 problem solvers over here, and they would go to knock on these people's houses like, hey, you took money from so and so, how come you haven't done the work? Are you gonna give the money back? Well, how come you haven't been there? And it was like, that was crazy to me. Like, I can't believe that was being done.
It happens all the time.
I know it does.
And homeowners, the fact is that the construction industry used to be able to tell when somebody was good. Really, we were a country of builders in the first place. Like if people grew up on farms, had to build their own stuff, and like that's just not where we're at anymore. Not everybody can pick up a hammer and build something.
Well, I'm just
And
gonna keep on going back to Facebook Marketplace, because just like some of these, it's like in the garage sale groups right around the area, and someone goes on there and it's like, and people tag me in it, and it's like, hey, does anyone know anyone that does any flooring? I'm looking for this. And then there will be like 150 comments, and there'll be two actual flooring people, like flooring installers or contractors, and then everyone else is a handyman.
yeah,
That was if you go back to COVID, that was the rise of the DIY and kept a lot of inspectors busy, and then they went back.
We had some fun with the DIY episode. If you guys are watching next one, you should get on and watch it. That was fun.
I couldn't hide my face.
All right, so I am this next one, we're running short on time, is transforming construction safety, the shift from compliance to compassion. I'm going to skip that one. We'll bring that up in a future episode because I want to get to another a little more flooring specific one. And this is about the FCEF announces first pilot cohort of flooring installation technicians course. So the Floor Covering Education Foundation has announced the successful completion of its inaugural pilot cohort for the flooring installation technician course, developed in collaboration with the Alabama Community College System Innovation Center. I didn't even finish it, and it was a mouthful. Drake State Community College and the Industry Task Force. This significant milestone marks the culmination of a 2-year effort to create a training program that raises awareness and preparation and prepares the next generation for careers in flooring installation. They had their graduation ceremony at Drake State on October 11th. The achievements of 5 students who completed the Skills for Success flooring installation technician course. The program combines online education with hands-on training in a lab environment, so like in modules, providing participants with particular skills, recognized credentials that equip them for in-demand jobs. There's no doubt the jobs are in demand, and hopefully you guys get on the jump start and hire some of these people as they come in. John's comments like that need to have the shenanigans declared. Everyone needs to get them and beat them down with broomsticks. All right, John is getting down.
And then he follows up with hell yes, I helped with this.
Well, it was the first one was on the other topic that we were on.
Yeah. It's not the same topic.
Beat any of these kids down with broomsticks.
Yeah.
No, but like I said earlier on, it's pretty cool for the FCEF to continue to push and try. I mean, you just got to keep pushing, keep trying new things. I think Rollin is 100% correct here. You need to help them to get more funding. We also need to help get the students placed, because that's the throughput on the on the promise. Once you start doing that and you get people trained and then they get a job in the industry, now we're talking about a way that people can see a future. And funding is always going to be a topic of discussion. It's one of those things that is really difficult to solve. The industry is about a 26 to $28 billion industry from a wholesale flooring perspective. So around, I guess that's arguable as well. But essentially, there's about mid 20s to high or mid 20s to high 20s in the billions of dollars of material sold in the U.S. every year. So there's no doubt that where the bulk of when you consider this is predominantly with, say, 5 or 10 manufacturers, not like it's spread out across hundreds or thousands. This is these big entities. And I've worked with some of them, and they're really hard to work with. I mean, it's hard to get anything done. And for them to take a step forward in improving the industry, everybody talks a big talk. Very few people walk a big walk.
I mean,
it's always talking and I got you get you with this person or get you with it's just you go down a rabbit hole for a year with people, and our industry just really, I feel like, lacks accountability and leadership in those areas. But that's just
I thought
me.
with the FCEF, announced was that 2 years ago now, right? When it was some of these manufacturers given a penny a square foot, and that stuff adds up. I mean, if every manufacturer did that.
Yeah, penny a square foot, I think there's a manufacturer that is doing that. And that, I think, could change the industry if everybody would just do a penny a foot. They have no problem charging us extra fuel surcharges.
No kidding.
Right.
We all know what that was like or is like, but I mean,
I think Rollin is referring to people hiring. Everyone says that they need installers, but then don't hire them. And like even with us, we see that too. And they will call us, "Hey, man, I'm in a pinch. Can you do this?" And then they lay out some pricing, and it's like, "I can do it for this," and they're like, "Okay, never mind. We'll find someone else."
I think the big problem about the hiring part is there's just I've said it 1,000 times if I've said it once. Like, you got to know that you're getting a superior product. Like, you buy a Mercedes-Benz, you're expecting to spend more than if you buy a Hyundai. Period.
Yeah,
you just
100%.
are expecting to pay more. And it's because the reputation, the clout, all the stuff that goes along with it, with having it, the superior quality of having that vehicle. The same thing has to be done in most industries, and most industries have, in the construction world, a lot of the ones we all talk about and respect have licensing or certifications or schooling, or you have to have certain statuses for you to be able to do that job. And bottom line is there's not a barrier of entry into flooring. And so there has to be some scale of measurement. But of course, people have to adopt the scale. People have to, if not one that's out there, make one. do something. Like, if you don't want to, if the one that's been.
And not only that, we need to stop pushing the whole 1099 on everyone and realize that there's a place for the actual W-2 employee, that's the only employee that is legit, right? There is no such thing as a 1099 employee. And then they can build their way up to, being their own boss if they want to, but it's developing those skills from an industry or from something like the FCEF, going through that, working with someone, and then after a few years, maybe it's like, hey, I want to try my hand at this, and it's like, I mean, no one's ever gonna I don't know if no one, but we wouldn't be like, hey, no, you gotta stay put, man. Unless they really needed to. Like, we'll be honest with you.
We've helped hourly guys go subcontractor. The bottom line is they need to be prepared. There should be a stair stepping of this deal. If you're going to be a flooring installer, you should work for somebody for quite a while and learn the skill. There's a very effective way of gauging skill level out there. Everybody knows about Go Career's hammer rating. It's just not widely adopted by manufacturers, but the bottom line is, at some level of that skill, and I've personally invited manufacturers to state, like, let's come up with what level. If it's a 2 rating or a 3 rating, says I'm a journeyman or I'm an apprentice at that point. I'm a full apprentice. I'm a past helper. I'm an apprentice at this level. I'm a journeyman at this level. I'm a master at this level. And you could easily do that and solve the first part. And then what's that? And then you could, if you wanted to go be a subcontractor, we lost one of our cohorts here, Daniel. But if you wanted to be a subcontractor after that, then you go through some type of business training and or go to school, go to, one of the things college is pretty good at is teaching some business courses. You can take a business administration, administration, some level that you have to prove that you are that to get a business license or something. Then that would solve it. But we don't want to put these parameters in as an industry. It's clear to me there's a bunch of talk about it, but not a lot of doing. So that's my rant.
John's comment right here, it just kicked me off and made me sign in again for some reason. So
I don't like you.
What's he say? He says with subcontract model, there is no motivation to train new installers.
And I think what you look at in an industry is that it's the way it is because of most of these installers want to work by themselves or no one wants to work with them.
Yes.
Yeah, the subcontract model is there because of multiple reasons. One is risk on the company. You can divert, you can not eliminate, but you can share risk on multiple insurance policies. So that's one reason subcontractor model works. The second reason is it's more, I wouldn't even say cost effective. If you have a good employee installer, they're going to make you more money than a sub ever will. But the fact is, you already kind of know you can project your costs better. That's why those models work. That's what. And then in downtimes, when a retailer, for example, that sells to, sells retail flooring, when they hit a low point in the season,
they don't have that.
They don't have to lay off and have this big workforce that they're trying to keep busy, and so it can be beneficial. It's just the individual installer should be skill tested, period, and then they should be hired based off of those skills. It's real simple. Like,
and I understand where John's coming from too, because I don't go rent a car then go buy new tires for the car. I don't do that. But at the same hand, on the other hand, is you're borrowing a car and you know that those tires aren't going to last the 3 days you need it. You have no choice. You got to make sure you get to point A and B. That's probably the worst analogy ever, but couldn't think of anything else.
Well, that is going to do it for the Blue Collar Cruise this week. There were some really cool topics. Hit us up on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts. If you catch us, please give us a like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We're the highest rated flooring podcast in the industry. Went through the metrics earlier, and I'm proud to say that with the guys here. We're here every single week and putting in the work, trying to help you guys stay educated as best as we can, open up the conversation more so than anything, and have meaningful talks. So to me, that's what we've been successful at, and really proud of here at the Huddle. And I would say that these gentlemen are a stone when it comes to this podcast. And I can't say how much I appreciate you and Jorge for always coming through on the Hispanic, well, I should say Spanish Spanish version of the Huddle. He is a stud. Make sure to grab his, episodes when he's up on the Spanish speaking podcast for the Huddle. In fact, Jorge just says sometimes you need for things to fall in order for the manufacturers to be pressed with the problem. If retailers can't hire more guys to push, they will close down and no carpet comes out of the mill. I think at the end of the day, what he's trying to say is that, it's tough to keep everybody busy all the time. Retailers, we have to put in good quality product for people to still want to buy the product. I forget who said it, but flooring has no value until we touch it. And when I say we, I mean the installer. Till we put it in, it has zero value.
Until it's installed.
It doesn't do no good in the rack. It does no good out in the driveway. It only becomes valuable when it's in your bedroom or your house and or in your facility of some sort. So we are the value creators, and we need to start acting like it. As an industry of installers, we need to start acting like it and hold each other accountable that way. So I appreciate everybody coming on and all of the interactions and live viewers. We had a lot of live viewers today. So again, if you catch us on any platform, make a comment, let us know what we're doing great. Let us know
share,
we're not
share
doing
it
great.
to everyone you know.
Share it to everybody you know, even if they are a flooring guy. Especially if they're a flooring guy.
Thumbs down, guys. I got a bum shoulder.
Thumbs down, thumbs up. All right, guys. Well, thanks again. Love you guys. It was a pleasure hanging out. And for the audience, we will catch you guys next week.
Sir.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, wait a second. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Turkey,
Everyone
turkey.
have a great
Gobble, gobble.
Thanksgiving.
Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. See you guys.